Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
I'll turn this way and say it this time. Shabbat shalom, welcome. We are going to begin our service this evening with Shalom Aleichem, which means welcome, all of you. This is not only for welcoming all of us as humans, but also welcoming in the angels that are supposed to surround us on Shabbat. And metaphorically, we can understand that as, good feelings, a welcoming presence as we enter into Shabbat. The words are on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu.
Would you like to be our board member tonight?
I shall.
Okay, thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I get to be your friendly board representative tonight. A few announcements. The American Guild of Organists will be joining us for Shabbat, Friday, November 8th at 6 p.m. Celebrate Maureen Glasser's 90th birthday on a special Oneg Shabbat Friday also, November 8th after the services. The next Shabbat Yoga, Body and Soul is Saturday, November 9th from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. And Torah Today is Saturday, November 16th at 9:30. Coffee and bagels will be provided. Please be sure to RSV to the temple if you're coming. And that's it for the announcements for today. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Today is the very first day of the month of Cheshvan, which is the second month of the Hebrew calendar. And oftentimes this month is called Mar Cheshvan, which means bitter Cheshvan, because this is the only month in the entire calendar where there are no holidays. And so, we've crammed 5 holidays into last month of Tishrei, and now we have Cheshvan. And there's a sense during Cheshvan that we are really supposed to rest, to take in all that we have done throughout the High Holy Days on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Simchat Torah and Shmini Atzeret, which is the holiday described in the Torah without any description. All that it says is that it's an extra day for you, but no anything. And so we kind of add that on to Simchat Torah. So during this month of Cheshvan, I hope that all of the ideas and the music and the feelings of being together with community will stay with you during this month with no holidays. We are going to begin our service on page 120 with lighting the Shabbat candles. I'd like to call up the Wolf family to lead us. Either one.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, on our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Okay, go ahead. So you'll pick up this one. Go ahead. Okay, you're good. All right, I'll say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad likner shel Shabbat. The translation?
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who howls us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehad likneh shel Shabbat.
On Shabbat, we light 2 candles, and there are various reasons why we light 2 candles. One of them is that when the people were standing at Mount Sinai and they were being offered the commandments, they said, "We will do and we will listen." And so there's a reference to these ideas that we should do and we should understand, but it's not that we should understand and then we should do, but that we should do and then we should understand. So there's a practice that comes along with it that which we are reminded of when we light the Shabbat candles. And there's another idea that kind of goes along with our next prayer, which is Lecha Dodi on page 138. And on Shabbat, we are supposed to welcome a second soul into ourselves on Shabbat. So all the time we walk around with the soul that we were given when we were born. And on Shabbat, we gain this extra soul. And that's sometimes some people have a practice of having 2 challahs on the Shabbat table for the same reason. That when we go throughout this day of Shabbat, we are blessed with this extra goodness that comes along with our existence and with our being. And Lecha Dodi is kind of that idea too, where we welcome in the Shabbat presence, this extra goodness or this extra soul that comes along with us. So please join with us.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shmihan Yuhel HaMiyuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet V'Litzilah Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nelcha Ki Mekol HaBracha Merosh Mikedem Nesucha Sof Ma'azeh B'machshavat Tchila Hitoriri Kivadek Chumi Uri Shir Daberi Kevod Adonai Alayich Nigla. Please rise. Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'tzola Toch emuneh segula Boi chala Boi chala Lecha dodi likrat kala Pinei Shabbat nikamela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pinei Shabbat nikamela.
Page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemer haba Bi'alama divarach yidute v'hamlich machute B'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chayede kol bet Yisrael Bagala Uv'izman kariv V'himeru Amen. Yeshemer Abba Mevorach Le'alam Hulal Mehamaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbah V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitatan V'yitaneh V'yitanal Shemed Kudesha B'richu Le'ela min chol bechata v'shirata Tushmekata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma V'himeru Amen.
Page 146, we have the Baruch Hu, which is the beginning of the Shema and its blessings. Please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
This is an hour of change. We're on page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. This prayer, this interpretation of the prayer is particularly pertinent this weekend as our time changes again. And also in this moment of where we are in our secular calendar, that Election Day is on Tuesday. And so the idea of how are we going to cross over into this new place together? Ahavat Olam on the following page.
Ahavat Olam, Bet Yisrael. Mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki em chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeyomam v'layla, negeyomam v'layla.
Please be seated. Following page, we have the Ve'ahavta, which is the following paragraphs after the Shema, talking about how we can show love to God.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם בכל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Before we sing Mi Chamocha, let us look at the bottom of page 159. A quote from Milton Steinberg, a scholar and author, wrote the book As a Driven Leaf. If you haven't read that, I would encourage you to. Salvation is the Jews' victory over human limitations. That's what Mi Chamocha is all about. Ignorance or insensitivity. It is the conquest of sinfulness, of the evils resident within the self. Pride, selfishness, hate, lust, cynicism, the deliberate rejection of goodness and truth.
Far Adonai ad Yaakov, ugibel lo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
We'll read together at the bottom of page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. The Shamru on the following page.
Israel et Shabbat et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
The Amidah begins on page 164. Just a reminder of the insertion for where we are in the year on page 168. Please rise.
Adonai safetai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh HaKol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot u'mevii geula livnei v'nem leman shemo be'ahava melech ozer u'mashiach u'magen Baruch atah Adonai magen Avraham ve'azrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה עבדך הושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ודופק עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מקיים הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We read responsively on page 173. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans.
Shakas Adonai, Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred.
Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears.
Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temple are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality.
Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzeh is on page 174.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava Tamid avodat Yisrael Hamecha El Karov Lechol Kol Ehav Pinel Havadecha Vichonenu Shevach Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezen ha'enenu V'shuvecha l'Tzion Berachamim Baruch atah Amachazir Shekinato
Our song for peace, Shalom Rav, is on page 179.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamecha Tasim Leolam Ki את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
Our prayer for healing is on page 371. We think about those in our lives who are in need of healing, whether it's for their body or their mind or their spirit. This Shabbat, we are thinking of Charlie Bauer, Brian Bucky, Michael Gordon, Steve Kramer, Larry Markwood, and Sarah Taub. We would like to include other names before we sing our prayer for healing. I would encourage you to do so. We'll start on this side of the room.
Dave Saltzman, Graham McElroy, Sean Bixler.
Join together.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and of spirit.
Amen.
Take the next few moments for our own personal prayer.
be acceptable before thee, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.
This evening the Shabbat, we are in the Shabbat of this book, the story of Noah, the Torah portion of Noah. And I made copies for people for the Torah portion itself. And if you are inclined, I would encourage you to participate. Could you hand some of these out, please? Thank you. So the Parshat Noah, the Torah portion that we are in this week, obviously has the story of Noah and the ark. And it also has, in the second half of it, this story of the Tower of Babel. And this story each year fascinates me because it is just 9 verses long. There should be enough for everyone. If they're not, maybe we can share. It's just 9 verses long, and yet I think it's so instructive for how we can understand language and people and just the way that we are in the world. So, looks like we have enough. All right, so I'll read it in English, but I have the Hebrew here for anybody who's practicing their Hebrew and wants to look at the letters. Okay, everyone on earth had the same language and the same words. As they migrated from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them hard." Bricks served them as stone, and bitumen served as mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower with its top in the sky to make a name for ourselves, else we be scattered all over the world." Adonai, God, came down to look at the city and the tower that humanity had built, and Adonai said, "If as one people with one language for all, this is how they have begun to act, then nothing that they may propose to do will be out of their reach. Let us then go down and confound their speech, so that they shall not understand one another's speech." Thus Adonai scattered them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel, because there Adonai confounded the speech of the whole world, and from there Adonai scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Are there any brave people here who want to say, in other words, what's happening in this section? In a few words? Yes? Yeah, great. Good question. Okay, so it says Adonai, and then the translation says, "Let us go down." What verse is that? 7? Okay. It's interesting. So it's Hava, Narda, Navla, Shem Sifatam Asher Lo Yes Isu Ish Sifat Re'ehu. So the translation is not great because it doesn't actually say let us, it's more, well, I guess it does. The repetition of those two first words in or second two words in the verse does say us. Well, it has a sense of us, but it's more like the royal I. So it's not like plural, but it's let us go down and God talking to God's self in that moment. It's not a plural, there are more than one God, because there isn't. However, Elohim is in the plural, and that's what I was expecting to see, but that's not what was actually there. Good question. Okay, so all the people had the same language. They wanted to make themselves a great, they wanted to go up all the way to the sky and look out. They were all working together for this one cause, and God got a little scared that humans would think that they were more powerful than they were. And this comes after the story of Noah, where God was reminding all of the people that God was God and people were people and that they needed to act better. So when we're placing these stories one after the other, it brings a little bit more context here. From our ears, understanding this idea that wouldn't it be great if we could all speak the same language? I've heard people say that before. Wouldn't it be great if we could all speak the same language? And yet, according to our Torah story here, that is somehow dangerous. So does anyone have anything else to add? Why did God confound their languages and scatter them all over the earth? Kind of just answered it. Okay. All right. So there's another story that goes along with this, and this comes from the Legend of the Jews, Louis Ginsburg, and it's based on Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which is a midrashic collection. It says, in relation to the story, "Come, let us build us a city and a tower." So it's commenting on that part. "Many, many years were spent building the tower. It reached so great a height that it took a year to mount to the top. A brick was, therefore, more precious in the sight of the builders than a human being. If a man fell down and met his death, none took notice of it. But if a brick dropped, they wept, because it would take a year to replace it. So intent were they upon accomplishing their purpose that they would not permit a woman to interrupt her work of brick-making when the hour of travail came upon her. Molding bricks, she gave birth to her child, and tying it round her belly in a sheet, she went on molding bricks." So this story is just giving us a little bit more color to what it must have took, or what we can imagine it took to build this Tower of Babel, and how the rabbis viewed this idea, right? They were trying to make sense of why would it be so bad for the people to make this tower, to go all the way up to God, and they came up with this imagination that bricks were more important than people because it took a whole year for them to ascend to the top. So, a question, and I would love for responses. We're going to get better at this. What can the story of the Tower of Babel teach us today, on the eve of this election, in a country more divided than any of us has ever experienced before? What can we learn from this? What might we be able to take from it?
Toiling has become more important than the principle, so in all this fury, everyone's getting fired up and riled up, and they're forgetting the principles that the people built through the people built. It's their work, their ideas. But if we don't care anymore that they aren't commodities, then the commodification of this is insanity.
Great. So the idea that if we're doing all of this work, but what are we really doing all of this for? All right, so the idea that we're afraid of the real work. Great, thank you. Does anyone else have a thought about? Yeah, Suzanne?
Theoretically, we live in a country where we all speak the same language, and we certainly don't all understand each other.
Right.
It's, I think that's a myth. That may be what God was trying to say to us is, pay attention. Because you might think you talk the same language, but you don't.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. For those who are watching on Zoom, the idea that in theory we all speak the same language, but it's very clear that we don't understand each other. So, beautiful. Very good. Any other thoughts? Okay. So, it's very clear that when we are talking about language, we've heard so many words. If you watch any sort of TV or look at your phone, because you get text message or answer the phone and you get phone calls throughout this whole election season, so many words that we may, as Robin said and as Suzanne said, forget what this is all about. I wanted to offer two ideas here that we might be able to take with us. So the first one is Rabbi David Kimchi. He is known as Radak. That is his acronym. He's from 1160 to 1235. So his view about this story, particularly Genesis 11, verse 7, the people were not listening and hearing one another. So we have this idea that I talk about when I'm teaching children and when I'm talking to my own children about the difference between listening and hearing. That hearing is just, it's passing by you, listening is you're taking it inside. So they do not understand one another's speech. According to Rabbi David Kimchi, he says this means hearing with one's heart. The confusion of tongues is God's way of creating an interiority that goes beyond speech and language, that one has to work to truly understand and interpret what the other says. It means taking each other seriously and what we say to each other received with respect and dignity. So Rabbi David Kimchi is imagining this idea that the jumbled speech is so that we pay attention a little bit more, that we have to work harder at really trying to understand. And whether we understand at all, but that we have to do this work of taking it into our hearts. And the second idea actually is not from the Jewish tradition, but how it's about font. So when you're reading something, how font affects how we gather information and learning and memory, by Carla Delgado, saying, while it may not be obvious to most, text styles likely impact important cognitive processes and might make or break information retention. Difficulty can function as an alarm signal, giving the reader a sense that the task is challenging and will require mental effort. This leads the reader to really focus on the material as opposed to skimming through it. And that additional deep processing helps us learn the material better. So again, if the language was easy between the people of Babel at the time, they might not have been paying attention to each other. And it goes back to our example of it taking a year to build the bricks, and if the brick falls, then the people mourn, but if a person falls, they don't mourn. And how with a little bit of tension and a little bit of difficulty, we have the opportunity to really focus on what people are trying to say. And I guess all of this is to say that we are in this time of many words, a lot of tension, and it is my hope and my prayer as we head into this week that there are so many people from every angle who are anxious about what will happen in this election. And And in some way, that anxiety is warranted. And it's my hope and prayer as people of this community, as people of faith, that we slow down, we take a deep breath, and we see what's happening in front of us without maybe taking it on for ourselves, which is a very hard thing to do. But that's what I am planning to do this week. And may we be able to rest easy and really try to know each other across differences of political opinion and really hold on to the values that we hold dear. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn now to page 586 and rise for Aleinu. Page 591. Please be seated. Our thoughts turn now to those who are no longer with us. We remember those who have been laid to rest either this week or in the past 30 days: Julia Casey, Sandy Eisenberg, Spencer Stone, Joan Tucker, and Sandra Liebenthal Whitman. We also remember those who have died at this season in years past: Stanley R. Akers, Laura Barish, Jack M. Barkin, Fern Burns, Martin Black, Dr. Saul Boyk, Elliot L. Davis, Charlotte A. Davis-Friedman, Tina E. Dorn, Elaine Flom, Jack W. Goldstein, Esther Gottlieb, Nathan J. Greenberg, Sarah B. Harris, Isaac Hausman, Mo Henning, Bess Kaufman Hirsch, Sally Hoffman, Bruce Z. Jaffe, Lena R. Kaplan, Fred R. Mannheim, Rosa Michael, Dora C. Mendel, Marilyn Packer, Steve Peskoff, Thelma Robbins, Elliot Safran, David G. Saltzman, J. Israel Seligman, Harold Singer, Joel Ungerleiter, and Sherry Zaft. Are there any others that we'd like to mention? We'll rise together as a community for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadol v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalal v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing.
Amen.
May be seated. Our closing song this evening is Adon Olam, page 625.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yirtzeh nivra le'et nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'achareh kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh betifara ve'hu echad ve'en sheni lehamshilo lehachmira ve'lireshit ve'litachlit ve'loha'oz ve'hamisra ve'hu eni ve'chagvali ve'tzorchem li be'tzara ve'hu nisi u'manos li menat kosi be'yom ekra be'yado hafkid ruchi be'et yishan ve'ha'ira ve'im ruchi gevihati Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Please join us in the hallway for Kiddush and Motzi.